This is the escape cable control conversion. We'll start out with the boat empty, the hull section separated, and the motor removed. This is a brand new boat. This has never been removed. You'll want to remove the flotation compartment. Unscrew the kill switch nut and set it aside. You'll need it later. Remove the control box. I'm going to take some wire cutters. This up, guys. Use a torch with a very, very low flame. You don't want to burn the sticker. You just want to get it warm. Just warm enough to let that adhesive release. Use a flat razor. Just come under and remove the sticker. Save it because you can reuse the arrows and the safety kill switch sticker. Just set that to the side, preferably upside down so you don't get the adhesive contaminated. Using the provided paper template, you will take and line up the hull brace bolt hole with the top of the brace bolt screw head. Make sure that the slot is parallel with the cockpit. And while holding it down, take a Sharpie magic marker or a sharp center punch to locate the holes and the cutout slot. This hole doesn't need to be marked. There's nothing underneath that. That will go through the steering kit and the trim plate later. Don't forget the back holes too. This is where the center punch method works better. Since the sticker is there, you might not be able to see the mark. So you have your two holes there, your slot, and your marks. Once the holes are marked, I like to take a torch and just heat up a sharp pointed punch. Just right in the center. That will locate that hole for drilling. Using a 3/16 drill bit, just come back and drill your holes. Alright, now using a jigsaw, you can come in and cut your slot. If yours didn't turn out pretty, it doesn't really matter. There's going to be a trim plate that goes over the top of it anyhow. Now inside, you'll want to remove the paddle, and this lip needs to be cut back right to that second dimple. So use your jigsaw. Slide the throttle cable through the holes. Now install the trim plate. Now you can slide your throttle handle up. Right over the screw holes. You can now install the third screw. This should go down through the bracket easily. And just put the nuts on there. Start them. Now the back two nuts, you have countersunk washers. You'll use these in the back part. You can install the nuts on these now too. Go ahead and use your wrench, hold the nut on the bottom, and go ahead and tighten it down. Next, you're going to come in the engine compartment, remove the vent hose, and the vent. You want to pull the gasket away from the hull. When you drill a hole, you want to make sure this is where the pass-through tunnel is going to be. And you don't want the vent in the way of that, so make sure you move this out of the way. And when putting the gasket back on again, you'll notice this is in the way now, so you're going to have to trim just a little bit so it'll fit. Some wire cutters should do the trick. There is metal in there, so you might hit a piece. nut on the bottom side. It's just plastic, you gotta go crazy with it, but just snug it up. It's not going anywhere. And you're probably going to want to cut your hose down a little bit. Probably approximately 3/4 of an inch. And just slip it right back over. That will also keep water from getting out of your vent. Being on the side, water rushes up past the side of these holes and tends to go over the vent, so that'll keep that from happening again. We're going to locate and mark for our hull pass-through tunnel. This gasket should be flush on the sides and on the top. Then take your marker, draw the inside circle. Mark the center, and that is where you're going to drill. The hole needs to be as big, actually a little bigger than what you drew. Again, I like to heat my punch. That marks the center. Now we have it located, we can drill. Now I realize most of you aren't going to have a big old drill bit at your house, but you can make the hole as big as you need to, as big as you can, and then come back with a Dremel tool or even the same drill bit and just work your way around until you get it the right size. Alright. This is a 1-inch drill bit, by the way. And what you're looking for is that this gasket back can slip inside there, so you're going to have to make the hole just a little bit bigger. Now it slides in there nice and easy, and that's what you're looking for on this side. Alright, now that we have the hole drilled, you can go ahead and assemble the hull sections and bolt them back together again. Now that the hull sections are joined together, you'll see where these holes hole mates up with the cockpit. You just take your Sharpie and do the same thing to locate that hole. Now you can separate the holes again. I'll heat up the torch again. Use this to locate the center. get the same process until we get this to fit. There we go. Once it'll seat in there, what we'll do now is take some polyurethane. Alright, we'll take some polyurethane. I use S30 Loctite. It's not runny, non-hardening. You want to make sure it's only on the plastic side of this gasket. You don't want any on the face of the gasket side. And you'll just put it around the perimeter on this back side. This is the side that's facing the cockpit. And just slide it into the hole. Now you'll want to reassemble the hull sections, being careful not to disturb that. Once the hull sections are joined together, leave that alone. Don't separate the hull for at least 24 hours. Let that sealant cure, and that will keep the gasket in place as you're joining the hull sections if you need to take this apart again later. This is also the time you'll want to install the gaskets for the connectors. Peel the gasket off and put it around each connector. What I do to seal this up, we'll put some masking tape over that hole and then come back from the inside and fill the void with some silicone. But that's what the hull gasket, pass-through gasket, should look like once the hulls are joined together. Now we're going to remove the battery, if yours is back here, and the steering servo. Some wire cutters and cut this wire tie holding the servo wire lead, and then plug it. There are two 5/32 hex drive Allen wrench head. Got some screws back here. Alright, and if you haven't disconnected your steering rod from your pump, you can go ahead and do that now. And the servo will slide right out. And you can discard it, sell it on eBay, put it on your model boat, or remote control a go-kart or something, but you won't need that anymore. Alright, here is the steering cable. There's a grease fitting here. There's no room in the design to put any kind of a seal between the shaft and this adapter collar. So there's a grease fitting, so you can pump grease in here. That will help keep water out. It also helps to lubricate the cable, make it last longer. And I ship all of these loose so that once you have this inserted into the hull, which you can do now, it should slide right through. And once the cable has been passed through the tunnel, what you can do now, feed it up into the cockpit. Once you find the natural orientation that cable wants to lay, you can then straighten that steering collar down there, pull it back out, and then tighten that nut to lock it in place. Snug it back in like that. Then you can slide it back in place again. Now you can take the clip install it into the groove on the end of the steering adapter cable, and the other side you can clip to either the hose or the pump clamp, or if you have a pump guard you can clip it there, which I will do on this one. You can now attach your pump to the steering. You can reinstall the battery now and zip tie the battery cable back to the little tab again. Now we can take the steering cable, feed it through the bracket hole, taking the pin and installing it from the top down, flat side to the back. And you can use the quick release and install that on the handle. Then you can get a 3/8 wrench and tighten the jam nut now that the orientation is known. Now you have steering. You can feed the throttle cable through the pass-through tunnel now too. We're now going to install the cable bracket and the throttle linkage for the motor. Remove the 2 screws from the wire cover. Sorry, 3 screws. There's one on the side too. Set it to the side. I'm using some wire cutters, cut the zip ties holding the throttle wire lead. On some models, this connector is soldered to the lead and you'll have to actually unscrew the connector. Newer models have a plug. You can simply unplug the servo lead. So newer models, the servo is driven by wires in the main connector, so there's nothing to remove. You just unplug it. But on these older ones, you had to remove the actual connector. Now you can remove the servo screws. Remove the spring from the governor arm, simply just slips right off, and remove the servo and get all those little O-rings Mokai sticks in there. Throw those out. Take the spring loose, and you're done with the servo. Set it to the side. Alright, put the spring in the same orientation in the last arm. Slide the whole assembly into the hole. Engage the spring with the governor arm like it was. Now everything's in the same position. You can take the new screws provided in the kit. And then tighten them up. Here's your new throttle linkage. Now, there's a view, or particular about the way the motor runs. There's a spring that travels from the length of the rod that goes from the governor arm to the throttle. Now that spring pulls the governor arm and the throttle lever together so that whenever there's no tension from the governor while the engine's running, to move the arm back, so when the engine's shut off and that tension goes away, that spring and the throttle want to come together, and that opens the throttle wide. That makes the engine feel weird when you're shutting it down. It can lead to the backfire after shut down. If you take that spring off, then the throttle won't be held wide open when the engine's off anymore. So you might have to give a little bit of gas to start it when it's cold, but it'll have a much more stable idle, and it won't act all funky when you shut the motor off. But that's up to you. You can take the spring and leave it alone, or you can take it off and have a little bit more control over things. I like to take it off. But anyhow, you can take your wire cover and your cable bracket, use the new screws provided in the kit, and install the cable bracket. And don't forget the side screw. And tighten them up. The hull alignment makes putting these motors in kind of a difficult proposition sometimes. You might have to take the pump loose to get the motor in all the way. My clutch alleviates that problem. Now, take a quick release ball and attach it to the throttle. Drop that in the bracket slot and close the gate. And there is your throttle. With regards to the control box, you can simply take the screws out, remove the joystick, just unplug it, and unplug the wires, go into the power supply so it's not being powered anymore. But when the power switch is on, there's still a power supply in there drawing current, and there's still the power light that's drawing current. So if you left your switch on because you used the kill switch to shut the motor off and you forgot, well, you're still going to have a dead battery when you come back. So what I do is I rewire the whole thing so this is a dead box. Yeah, there's still power coming in for your accessory, and the switch would still control the power to that. The breaker would still function as far as all that's concerned, but there would no longer be a light for the switch, and the on-off switch would simply be grounding the coil lead. So if you accidentally left it on, you're not drawing any current, and you're not going to have a dead battery from anything related to leaving a switch on like that. So I can rewire the box for you. I charge $50 for that, and all that stuff would be removed, sealed up, and ready to put back in again. Mounting is up to you. It can be mounted on the forward section in front of the controls there. It can also be mounted on the left side. Up to you. There's a template included in the kit. You can mount it whichever way you like. But I won't elaborate on all the details of that in this video. Alright, thanks for watching, and hope you enjoy.